Julian, thank you so very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Really looking forward to understanding more about yourself, your role within the energy space. You've got a long history through Schlumberger, AWS, and now Databricks.
Yep.
How has that evolved? How have you seen the industry evolve during your time?
So yeah, I feel privileged because I started in operations with Schlumberger, as you mentioned, for 20 years. I was actually a field engineer, right? 20 years into my career, I realized that digital was getting quite important, so I made the move to AWS. And
Right.
now I'm leading the energy and utilities at Databricks, so we are at this intersection between operations and IT, between energy, utilities, data and AI, so this is really like the opportunity and the challenge of our lifetime, so it's pretty awesome to be there, right? Things have evolved a lot, right? Between 10 and 5 years ago, we were discussing where do I store my data, how do I access it, who can access it, right? Today, all of this is almost gone, right? So like you said, I've been privileged to go around the world. I think companies have already decided on moving to the cloud for most of them. The discussion is about what do I do with my data and how can AI help me, right? And people see it in different ways, right? AI, it's about accessing your data and being able to create value and really leveraging what your people, democratizing it, so all your employees can actually use it, as opposed to just the IT team or some very specific digital people.
When we're seeing our data together with Databricks in the enterprises, we're hearing a lot more about AI. And AI being a key part. I know that when I'm using Databricks and I'm logged into the interface, agents are available. I can use Genie to access my data. I don't have to think about relationships of tables anymore. How has that really helped these capabilities for clients when they're discovering data?
Well, all we've been discussing now is the explanation of why this vision of a platform makes sense, right? You need to have your data accessible, irrespective of where you store it. You want to be able to access it very quickly, stored in an open format so you can have a multiple interaction with it. There is a huge challenge in this openness, which is you need to make sure that you have the right governance, right? And that's where we created and also open source Unity Catalog, which also gives your customer, while all this data may be stored in different object storage, you have a single pane of glass when you know what data you have access to. And the key word is data is not just real-time time series, right? It's your files, it's your notebooks, it's your models, all of it, and it's your agents as well.
Right.
All governed under a single layer, where now you can be empowering your data scientists, your data engineers, but also your employees that are in operations through the democratization tools in order for them to be able to use that data, right? So for us recently, obviously at Databricks, we started as a data platform and we evolved into obviously the governance layer with Unity Catalog, and we've developed our AI tools, AI BI and so on, and now we have the agent with MCP Server and Agent Bricks. This is all in order to get the curated data in the hands of the people to take the best decision. Over the past year or 18 months, we really worked hard toward the democratization of that, towards all employees in a company, not just the IT team. So we developed, you mentioned Genie, right? Where you can be querying in natural language your system and really asking, where should I drill next? Or why is this well not producing as much? Of which well should I look at in terms of production optimization because it's not performing the same as others? And that's where production insights we're getting from you or market prices insights become extremely critical for these engineers, operators to be able to take decisions. They don't know what's under the hood. What they have is a platform in the form of, we call it Databricks One or Genie, where they can be asking, they can be building their own dashboard. That's what's different today than it was a few years ago. And really, again, that's where that idea of having one platform where you have unified governed data, and when you operate your agents, your AI right on top of it, makes sense because now it's all in one place and you can make sense of it all, right?
Absolutely. Using it as a user and somebody who shows this to clients, that single pane of glass just makes, everything's there. I'm not looking for my data, my agent's right there. I can discover within my agent which data I'm using.
Yep.
I can drill further in. The SQL it generates, it's pretty awesome. Yep. I don't have to worry about syntax anymore. And it gets me to a higher level of thinking, as you're saying. We're starting to work with content to solve problems rather than relationships in data and how clean the data is.
Yeah.
So when I look at the wide range of clients we work with, and we're still early, in my mind, of getting data standardized, is AI the answer in the industry? Where are we in the business right now, in general, as far as adoption? You talked about the winners, right? So clear competitive advantage for some. Is that the norm, or is that?
Yeah, no, actually, thanks, because it complements my previous answer, right? The other interesting part about the technology piece that I say will help us pass every challenge over the decades of our industry. Usually this technology were very sub-industry specific, right? We found a great way to frack in the Permian or in unconventional. We found a way to keep particles underground and controlling all these particles underground as opposed to producing them. These were always technology that were very useful and practical to siloed piece of the organization and of the value chain. Where AI is different is that it applies to the entire value chain.
Sure.
Right? It touches every single one of those silos. And even more important, back to one of my earlier comments, it connects all these silos together. Right? And I think that's where AI is a little bit different than what we've seen before, where I think the impact will be much bigger to start with. Again, the adoption and the quick adoption is very important as well. I think these are our thoughts today. This is what we want to share with our customers. This is why we have this partnership, right? Because
absolutely,
and especially just over the past few weeks, right? Having access to real-time data on our market, are reacting is very important. I always like to anchor what I say in very practical use case. So I'll use another one, right? Today, when you have an LNG ship that you need to decide if it needs to route to Europe or to Asia, the time to take that decision is extremely critical, because once it's far ahead en route to a certain place, it becomes the cost of turning around outweighs any potential benefit you would get from a better trading position in another place. This is all about having access to your data at the time that you need it, right? These are the very practical examples that we are solving with customers today, right? These are not ideas, these are not concepts. We are doing this today with customers, right? So super excited about what's coming, and I think our industry will be revolutionized with what we're doing.
Julian, it's been a real pleasure speaking. Always a real pleasure speaking. Any last thoughts on personal or corporate, on like where things are going? What do you see in the next couple of years?
Look, the summary for me is think scalability, think governance. Even when you prioritize your use cases to the one that have the most value, so you can get the buy-in from your stakeholders, both internal and external. But as you do that in priority use cases, which may be in a more niche environment, think the scalability of them, so the governance layer. That's one. Second, data and AI is not just for IT people. It needs to be put in the hands of the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people we have in this industry. So that democratization, training people, giving them access to this natural language, giving them access to building agents in natural language is very important. And maybe the final thought is we should not be scared of AI. Like I said earlier on the example of a trader or the example of a production engineer, right? AI will really reduce the workload on getting the information on hand, so you can actually do your job of knowing the wells that you're looking at, knowing the shipping routes that you're trying to manage. You're going to have all that access at your fingertips, so now you can apply your true knowledge to resolving problem and creating value, as opposed to spending 60, 70, 80% of your time trying to aggregate information that may be outdated by the time you have, that may not be complete, that may not be able to access another silo. That's not value added. So that would be my parting thoughts, is it's going to augment all of us.
I love it. We covered compressors, we covered shipping. I love the shipping example, very relevant today, especially with what's going on in the Middle East and how do we route those ships. And that comes back to our commodities at sea data, maybe our Mint data set. So fantastic bringing that all together. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
So much.
And awesome event that you guys put every year here at CERAWeek. So
appreciate it.
Very happy to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.